This was a really good palate cleanser after the Mario movie. Greetings my fancy friends, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Exit 8, the newest independent horror film that's based on a very short horror video game. Now if you aren't familiar with the video game, it pretty much goes like this. You walk into this never-ending loop of a subway station, and every time you see something strange change in the subway station, you have to go the opposite direction. And you have to do that over and over and over again until you find Exit 8. But be careful, because if you miss an anomaly, you have to start over from the very beginning. It's a fun short horror game. I actually played it for the very first time this week in prep for seeing the movie, and it was fun. Nothing groundbreaking, but a fun time waster of a horror video game. Now, I was apprehensive about going into this movie because movies that are based on short horror video games are either hit or miss. For every Iron Lung, there is a Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and Slender Man. There are very few and far between good horror films, but I'm happy to say that Exit 8 really did surprise me. The film stars Kazunari Niyomiya, and he plays a lost man trying to find a way out of this never-ending subway. And he's experiencing strange encounters like blood on the wall, doors disappearing, and a mysterious walking man played by Yamato Komichi. So will the lost man find Exit 8, or will he be stuck in this never-ending purgatory for the rest of his life? So the first thing that really impressed me about this film was these set designs. Sure, the sets are pretty simplistic, but it's pretty much a one-to-one creation from the video game. From that very first scene, I got a little bit giddy seeing these sets on the big screen. And this film really does take advantage of how eerie the game looks. From the overbearing LED lighting of the headlights, to the creepy echoing of the footsteps as the walking man walks by him, the set designs and sound designs are truly A+. And you can tell that everybody involved with this film had so much love and passion for the game because they put so much effort into every single piece of the sets. And this film is just filled to the brim with so many references from the game. There are so many anomalies that you encounter in that video game that are in this film. And every time a little Easter egg or reference from that game was on the big screen, I was just nodding my head going, oh man, that was from the game, I recognize that. And feeling a little bit of tension in my soul, I was watching the film knowing that some scary moments were going to happen because of these anomalies. And funny enough, it feels like you're playing the game while watching this movie. Watching our main lead go through this mysterious subway, and you look at the corner of your eye and you see a little anomaly in the corner there, and you're like, turn back, go the other way, there's an anomaly there. This film is really fun to watch because it feels like you are playing the game even though it is a movie. But the film isn't just only references, it actually tries to tell a compelling story. The game had no story whatsoever, but here they did something very creative and unique. You see, our main character here is struggling with the fact that he's about to become a father and he feels like he's not ready to become one. And this movie really does have this unique theme of how parenting can kind of feel like an endless loop, an endless cycle, like how our main lead is stuck in this endless cycle trying to find the exit. And our main character is going back and forth in his head of like, can I be a dad? No, I can't be a dad. Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Again, it's an endless loop going on in his mental state, kind of like how he's going through this endless loop of trying to find this exit. This film is able to parallel this feeling of this endless cycle of Exit 8 with the endless cycle of being a parent in such a very creative way. And I was really invested in the main lead. I was thinking to myself, man, this guy, he just seems like a nice kid. Maybe he isn't ready to be a dad, but I can tell he has a good heart. And later on in the film, he meets a kid in this endless cycle, which again elevates the story about him trying to become a guardian or him becoming a parent. And this movie really does take a lot of creative liberties as well because they do stuff with the walking man. Now in the game, the walking man was just kind of a weird anomaly. He might do weird things like follow you, do a weird smile. But in here, they make him an actual character. Later on in the film, we follow the walking man and how he kind of got into this situation. And when that happened, I locked in. I was like, no way, they're advancing more of the characters here. They're expanding upon this universe. They're adding in some really cool things into this film that I wasn't expecting. But my favorite thing about this film by far, and probably the most impressive thing, is the cinematography. There are so many one takes in this film that I lost count. They go on for like 10 or 12 minutes of just watching our main lead go on this endless loop without a single cut, and it's super impressive. But not only that, because there are so many one takes in this film, it elevates the claustrophobia feeling in this movie. Because our main lead is just in this endless cycle and we don't see the camera cut once, we start feeling trapped in these environments with the main character. We're starting to feel like, all right, when are we gonna get out of this situation? When's the camera gonna cut? When is something gonna change here? And it just elevates this film so much. Now, even though I do have a lot of praises for this film, I don't think it's perfect. In fact, there are quite a few flaws here. I do think this is a great adaptation of a video game that's only like 30 minutes long, but there are some issues here, especially with the pacing and the final act of the film. You see, the first 2/3 of the movie, I was locked in. I was like, all right, this is eerie and creepy. But in that final third, the film just starts relying on really cheap jump scares with some horrible visual effects. I mean, yeah, I know this was a very cheap movie, but the effects here are terrible. And I feel like the film would have done better without these weird effects because it did pull me out of the film quite a bit. And in the final third of the film, we start following this kid around and he's not that good of an actor. Now look, I don't want to hate and bash on a kid's acting. I'm sure he's going to do great in his future career, but he wasn't that good, unfortunately. In fact, he was kind of distracting with his performance. I mean, he barely talks in the movie, yet with his facial expressions, he just seemed bored the entire time, and it's pretty distracting, unfortunately. And the other issue is the pacing. Now, the video game is, like I said, only 30 minutes long, but when you take that and just stretch it out to like an hour and a half, the film can feel a little boring, unfortunately, especially in that last third. I feel like the film was overstaying its welcome. Now, I don't think it's one of those movies where it could have worked better as a short. I do feel like there was a lot of potential here to make the hour and a half runtime feel justified, because I feel like a few elements could have worked if they were expanded upon. Now, like I said, the film does expand on a lot of character moments with the walking man, but I feel like the film just didn't go all the way with them. It has all the little puzzle pieces here and there, but there are a few pieces missing to give us the big picture. Maybe tell us how he got here, why he's here, how long has he been here, how does he know this kid, how did the kid get into this mysterious Exit 8 loop. Tell us a few more of those moments, and that way we can have more character development and figure out more about these characters. But the film really doesn't go all the way there, and the pacing can feel like a drag because you are watching this guy go in this Exit 8 loop over and over and over again, and it can get a little boring by that final third of the film, unfortunately. And I feel like maybe there are a few more character moments here and there, and breaking up those moments of just walking in this endless cycle, then the pacing could have felt tighter, and the film could have been a bit more enjoyable. Guys, as a whole, I really did enjoy Exit 8. I thought it was a very fun time with the movies and a fun adaptation of an indie game that has no story whatsoever. This film takes a lot of creative liberties while at the same time respecting the source material. Sure, some might hate this movie, some might love it, some might find it boring. For me, I thought it was a really fun time. Which is why I'm gonna give Exit 8 the silver top hat. Guys, I want to thank you so much for watching, but it's your first time hearing you like we've seen, be sure to subscribe for more content. And have you seen Exit 8? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you have a fantastic night. And as always, stay fancy.